Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 128. Yes, I am on holiday, so it will be a little bit different than what you're used to. But don't worry, I will still bring you all the great news of the week of Tesla, EV, the earnings call, and everything in between. With a laptop and a little gin and tonic, I'll make it work. Cheers. So let's get into all the great news and let's dive right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
So we got Tesla's earnings call this week, and I was surprised by just how good this was with all the headwinds, the lockdown, supply chain issues and all that. Tesla is looking very strong, even in what we would call a bad quarter. Tesla had $2.5 billion GAAP operating income. I know that is down compared to last quarter, and we are so used to Tesla beating their quarter every single quarter, but just remember that is still up 98% from Q2 of 2021, which is of course the right comparison. And for a quarter that everyone talked about as a bad quarter, and they are up 98% in operating income, that is pretty amazing. And they still had 14.6% operating margin in Q2. Can we just take a moment to acknowledge how big this is? So Q2 was the first quarter in many quarters that was actually down to the quarter before it, not compared to Q2 of 2021, still crushing that one like there's no tomorrow, but it was down to Q1 because their Shanghai factory COVID lockdown. So as we talked about before, they probably lost about 85,000 units from the Shanghai at least, and it also slowed down the production in Berlin as well, as they could not get the battery packs from the Shanghai factory and much more. So probably more like 100,000 in total Tesla lost because of all of this. But still, they had an operating margin of 14.6%. Every other OEM on the planet would kill for an operating margin of 14.6%. This is like twice the amount of Volkswagen's operating margins. And this is a bad quarter for Tesla. This is just nuts. We have to remember that Tesla just last year in 2021 in Q2 only had 11% operating margins. So a very good increase, and everyone else would still kill for 11% operating margins. And let's just say if there were no lockdown, Tesla had added another 100,000 units or so to their sales numbers. Well, their $4 billion in automotive gross profit and the 254,000 deliveries is about $15,000 per car sold. So Tesla would have had maybe $1.5 billion more in automotive gross profit if they did not have the lockdown. And no, the lockdown we are seeing right now at their factories is not because of any problem. It is because Tesla will increase their production capacity, even though both Fremont and Shanghai had a record production in June, and now Tesla is making sure all their factories can ramp up production. Yeah, Q3 is going to be up. But of course we will see some effect of the lockdowns here in July of their many factories, but that will only end up in an even bigger Q4. Remember, Tesla still believes they can hit the 50% increase this year, so that is still above 1.4 million units sold, and they still had an automotive gross margin of 27.9% in a bad quarter. No one else in the industry has this high gross margin. Yes, Tesla might be down, but compared to everyone else, Tesla is still in a league of its own. And do you guys remember what Elon said back in March? When inflation was starting to spike, he dropped a huge recommendation. It's better to own physical things. And it's not just him. With inflation at 9.1% and major stock index down 20 to 25%, Bank of America's chief investment strategist recommend looking at real assets like fine art. It got low correlation to the sinking stocks and neutral inflation resistance. A New York Times interview this summer even said, when stock markets take a nosedive, people look to invest in art. It's more tangible. The art market is bulletproof. So if you want to take Elon up on his recommendation and invest in physical asset like fine art before inflation eats away on your savings, you have to hear about my long-term channel partner, Masterworks. They already kept thousands of my viewers' dollars safe from inflation by offering fractional investment in some of the world's most valuable artwork. They have done more than just helped hedge against inflation. They have delivered an unbelievable 25% net return for the last 4 years in a row through COVID, bear market, and sketching inflation. So check out the link in the description for special access to skip their waiting list, because I think what they're doing is quite brilliant. And in a bad quarter, Tesla still added $800 million to their cash and cash equivalent in Q2 to $18.3 billion. So in a quarter that probably is going to be one of Tesla's baddest quarter for a long time, they still added almost $1 billion to their bank. Yeah, Tesla is going nowhere but up from here on out. As Elon also said, the second half of 2022 is going to be record breaking. And Tesla even updated their little production capacity chart. Now Shanghai is showing at 750,000 instead of the 450,000. But we still know this is still sandbagging, as that is also more than 750,000 units, but we know they already have a run rate of over 1 million units in the Shanghai factory. But Texas and Berlin has also been updated to 250,000 in annual production. So as Elon also said, Tesla should be able to hit 2 million in run rate when we hit the end of this year. And we have to remember they will continue to ramp up. So 2 million in 2023 is a done deal before we enter the year. Then it is only going to be a question of how fast can they ramp up, so that anyone still thinks that GM and Ford or Volkswagen or anyone else with their claims of catching Tesla by 2025 with their 2 million EVs at that point is just laughable. Tesla will be at that production level at the end of this year. And that is what GM and Ford wishes for in 2025 or 26. Well, good luck, guys. And if you just look down the list here, you can also see that the Cybertruck, the semi-truck, the Roadster, the Robotaxi, and others are all in development. Oh yes, 2023 is going to be a very exciting year, as Elon once again confirmed the Cybertruck's production will start by mid-2023. So Tesla is still crushing it in a quarter that have been very difficult, and Tesla had forced lockdown and supply chain issues and so on, and they are still killing it. Their revenue is up 43% year over year, and their profits are up 41% year over year, and their operating income was $2.5 billion, down from $3.6 billion in Q1, but that means so far Tesla has had an operating income of $6.1 billion in the first half of 2022, and in all of 2021, their record-breaking year, Tesla had $6.5 billion in operating income. So they almost had as much in operating income in the first half of 2022 than in all of 2021. So that is awesome. And remember, like Q3 of last year was a record-breaking quarter and we all thought was amazing. And Q2 here in 2022 is better than Q3 of last year in pretty much every single way. So to say this is a bad quarter just because Tesla had a tough quarter because the shutdown and supply chain issue is just stupid. They added to their cash on hand and had almost $17 billion in revenue and $4.2 billion profits. And it was a tough quarter. Yeah, what a bad quarter it was. What do you think will happen in Q3 and Q4? Yeah, exactly. Record-breaking revenue and profits all around. And Elon still believes that full self-driving will be solved by 2022. So this is still very, very cool. But also the amount of full self-driving beta testers has increased exponentially. And just look at the last notch here from May 2022 until now. It has just become steeper. It is really going to take off in the last half of 2022. I might still be the only one that still believes Elon Musk and his prediction of 2022, because that has also been my prediction for the last couple of years. But everything is still heading in the right direction, and for Elon to still be so optimistic about this year when we are talking at the end of July now, I take that as a very good sign, and I think the exponential S-curve of the AI learning is just going to take off from here on out, and we see the first few steps of that right here. And even though the stock price always goes down after Tesla makes a record-breaking quarter, well, now Tesla is having a down quarter for the first time in years. Well, the stock is of course up. Well, that's a new one. But I really think people are just starting to see just how powerful Tesla is. With lockdown and chip shortage and supply chain issue, Tesla still managed to grow their business year over year by 43%. That is just amazing work from the Tesla team, and really show what a powerful position Tesla is in. Even when it goes wrong, Tesla is still adding to their cash on hand and growing their business, and is taking the time to gear up for a record-breaking second half of 2022. I think this is going to be very, very fun to follow, and Tesla will just leave everyone behind even further that is still struggling with the supply chain issue. So I think this was an amazing quarter for Tesla. With all the headwinds, they still came out on the other side standing tall. Congratulations, Tesla. And as Elon has said, persistence is very important. You should never give up unless you are forced to give up. Yeah, and Tesla is just pushing forward, and I am very excited about the future for Tesla, and can't wait for Tesla's AI Day 2 in only a couple of months. As Elon also said, he thinks people will be surprised by how far Tesla is in AI. Whatever that means. I can't wait to learn more about it. And they also talked a bit about the Giga casting, and thanks to the large castings and parts consolidation, the robot count in the body shop in new factories dropped by 70% per unit of capacity compared to their first iteration of the Model 3 body shop. So the space they now take up in the factory is about 3 times smaller. Or said another way, Tesla factory can produce at least 3 times as much on the same amount of floor space as most other car companies. And we can see the Model 3 and Model Y in Berlin and Texas uses even less space as Fremont, and this is also why all the potential there is in the ramp of Fremont, as Elon is constantly talking about, where they can still get the Giga casting installed for all their vehicles, both front and rear casting. Who is ever going to catch up with this? Well, the answer is no one. And Giga Berlin did not only get to 1,000 units per week, as Elon said in the earnings call, but they are already done with the upgrade of the factory. Tesla shut down Giga Berlin on July 11th to complete upgrades to the factory's production line, meant to reduce the amount of time a vehicle is required to be stopped at each station along the line from 90 seconds down to 45 seconds. The upgrade was scheduled to be complete by July 22nd, with the factory reopening for business on July the 24th. Everything went according to schedule, and the automaker has already started trial production to test new processes, a source familiar with the project told Drive Tesla. But not only has the production restarted, the factory is also kicking off the new process to build several test vehicles for features that has never been built at the Giga Berlin factory before. This includes the Model Y with with a single-piece front casting, a Model Y rear-wheel drive, as well as a Model Y with white interior. And supposedly they have even made the first structural battery pack with the 4680 cells at the factory, according to Tesla Mag. So everything is progressing very well at the Berlin plant, and they are now ready for the next ramp up of the factory after a short shutdown. Even though the short sellers and haters would love to tell us that Tesla is in big trouble because their factories are all shutting down. Yes, to increase production capacity afterwards. Tell me again why this is a bad thing. People are so short-minded and really don't get the big picture. Tesla just had a record-breaking production month in June, both at the Fremont factory and the Shanghai factory, and now they're shutting down to ramp up even further, making Q3 and especially Q4 a force to be reckoned with. And as I made a whole video about, Volkswagen is pretty much gone in the US market, but they want to change that. Volkswagen is planning to enter the United States rapidly growing electric pickup and SUV market by utilizing the Scout brand. As Herbert Diess said, it's time to now concentrate more on the US market and the US customers, and one piece of the puzzle for sure is Scout. Scout was established in early 1960s and helped develop numerous SUV body styles that are still relevant to this day. Scout stopped production in 1980 but will make a return now, with the production set to begin in 2026. 250,000 units are expected to be sold annually in the United States, when they are ramped up, of course, so don't expect that to make a big dent before the end of this decade. So hope Volkswagen has another big plan for the US market other than the pickup and SUV that we won't see before maybe 2027. But more news about Volkswagen, as their CEO Herbert Diess has reportedly informed the company that he plans to leave at the end of August. A new report from German media outlet NTV said Diess apparently surprised Volkswagen's other executive when he informed them of his plan. A successor is in place and will reportedly be Oliver Blume, who is the head of Volkswagen brand Porsche. I think this is a big loss for Volkswagen. Diess has really tried his best to push Volkswagen in the right direction. Hope Elon is in talk with him. Maybe he can take over the European Tesla market. Then again, Diess might be a bit too old school, but I really just like the guy, so I really hope he get a chance to help a car company that really wants to go 100% EV as fast as possible. Even though we are always talking about Volkswagen as one that is moving the fastest, we still have to remember they are still pretty much 95% ICE company and only 5% EVs. And let's get our weekly update about Tesla's Giga factories. That means handing it over to Brian from My Tesla Weekend. Take it away, Brian.
Hey Lars, well, in Shanghai, the loading lot is pretty much empty, in part because the quarter just ended, and in part because they are just reopening from retooling, which apparently happened a little bit ahead of schedule. That building on the west side, yeah, it's all closed off. We're down to interior work. The one at the northwest corner, almost cleared out, almost done, almost ready to get its work done inside. But an interesting development at the far northwest corner, next to what I believe is a temporary or smaller power plant, there's a lot of steel frame going up. They're expanding it. I don't know why. The sky bridge in the central corridor, that's closed off as expected. That'll probably become operational in a week or two. Over in Berlin, well, the stamping extension that I've been complaining about, it's back underway. They're once again pile driving to expand that part of the building. To the south, the parking lot is, of course, expanding. The 4680 building is, closing off. Still, work is underway inside. It's kind of hard to see from this shot, but to the east of the main building, there's some new heavy footing going in, some foundation work, something's going on over here. Tough to see what it is, but I have punched in so you can get a closer look. Same kind of deal, just south of the Motorworks building. Something heavy, something is going on. They're about to pour here. We'll keep an eye on it. In Texas, well, the main parking area, are they ever going to finish this? They're reworking it some more. The cathode building is getting its steel its roof, its floors. It is screaming along. It is over halfway done. The temporary switchyard expansion into a permanent switchyard, well, we now have plans. We can see what's going to happen. There will be megapacks here. They will be connected to the wholesale grid rather than the retail grid because Tesla is a wholesale energy provider, at least in Texas. And of course, there is more solar work on the roof, but it's kind of hard to see the progress because that's kind of a big building. Back to you, Lars.
Thank you so much for that update, Brian. See you next week. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this news show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. Tesla lays down a 2 terawatt-hour challenge for Panasonic. Panasonic Energy is building a pipeline of 2 terawatt-hours of batteries and raw material supply for Tesla as part of a new mandate from the Elon Musk-led company, according to a chief technology officer. If Panasonic is able to do this, this would be a very big deal, and Panasonic knows they can just jump into it because Tesla will buy every single battery they make. Another deadly crash from back in 2018 where Tesla was, of course, sued as always. Well, once again, the jury found Tesla not guilty in the crash. And if you're looking for some cool new gadgets for your Model Y to take the camp mode to the extreme, well, check out this new tent that fits on the back of the Model Y perfectly. That is pretty cool. And GM will produce its 2024 Chevrolet Blazer EV in Mexico. So that car will not be made in America. I am confused, Biden. Wasn't it Mary that should be leading the way with electric vehicles made in the US with good paid union workers? Well, that is clearly not what is happening. If you want a car that is made in Mexico, well, the Blazer is the car for you. If you want the most American-made car on the planet, well, get a Tesla. NASA has selected Falcon Heavy to launch the Roman Space Telescope, which is designed to study dark energy and dark matter, search for and image exoplanets and more. Liftoff is targeted for no earlier than October 2026 from Launch Complex 39A in Florida. Yes, SpaceX is the only real ticket to space right now. And SpaceX also deployed another 46 Starlink satellites this week, completing SpaceX's 32nd mission in 2022. Just amazing. And as we talked about before, Australia really has a big chance to make this switch to EVs and renewables work for them with all the materials they have in the country. But now Tesla's chair Robbie is saying the same thing. Australia is key to averting an electric vehicle battery crisis, Tesla chair says. Robin Denholm believes the country needs more processing and manufacturing capacity to help the world meet the growing demand for batteries. I can't think of technology that is more important than lithium-ion battery right now. To meet the challenge of climate change, this entire industry needs to scale at sprinting pace. Yes, and right now the only one sprinting is Tesla, and everyone else is just playing catch-up. And Ford apparently secures 100% annual battery cell capacity to support 600,000 EV run rate for late 2023. So that is nice, but still a long way to go for the 2 million just 3 years later. But it is nice to see Ford will be at about Tesla's level from 2020 in 2023. So don't see this as catching up to Tesla, but a good move from Ford, and 600,000 EVs next year would be a big push if Ford is able to pull that one off. And now Tesla is apparently getting its own lane at the Mexican border crossing. And Cadillac is showing off their Cadillac Celestiq, their high luxury EV with 300 plus miles of range and a price tag of $300,000, and they will only make about 500 of them, so not a car that is really going to matter much. But what do you think of this EV? You like it? And we don't know much about it yet, other than it should be starting production at the end of 2023. And before we end up with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my newest Patron, Jeremy Barker. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I am doing all this by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this show. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. If you're wondering why we don't have flying cars by now, well, this is why. That is all we have time for in this new show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helped out this video a lot. And if you did like it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support. And if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel and get your shout out on this show. You can also become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out and some extra perks. Hit the members button to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I tweet all the news as it comes out and more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. Now it's also possible to support the show without buying anything, becoming a member or a patron. There is a link to a donation options in the show notes. And also as simple as hitting the super like button. But going forward, I will be making more videos for patrons and members only. And I will give my YouTube members and patrons early access to my videos whenever possible and make my videos ads free for members and patrons only. So don't miss out. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there. And this is my holiday, so get the hell out of here. And remember, be nice.